Welcome back, everyone. Thanks for joining me today. They're looking at the 60-gallon Aqueon cube, and it's something I acquired here recently. I'm very interested in the quality of this, and a lot of you have asked me about this particular brand, not this particular size necessarily, but this is a 60-gallon cube by Aqueon, and I did want to give this thing a thorough uh, quality assessment, I guess would be the best word for it. So what I've done is I acquired one of these tanks to rigorously test it for its integrity. And that's one of the things, the main goals here that we're going to be talking about here today. Now, I'm eager to share my findings with you, but I don't want to do that without going over some of the things that I've noticed about it uh, from the get-go here. Now, the first thing I'm noticing is I'm seeing a lot of silicone down the sides of this. Now, if you know me, you know that most of the tanks that I have are either water box, JBJ, Fiji Cube, some of those kinds of tanks, which are much more high quality. Low iron glass. This is definitely not low iron glass, but it is a cube that a lot of people are purchasing because of the price point on it. Now, number one, these things go for about $379. Typically, you can get them on sale sometimes for 50% off, which is a steal if the aquarium holds up. It's not a steal if the thing doesn't have integrity and is not going to hold. So that's the important thing that you need to know. Now, as I said, if you look at a lot of the, I'm going to get kind of a close up here of this. If you look at the silicone here, you're going to see that in some areas it's not very even, in the corners especially. You'll see that the bead is not smooth, that it's kind of gooped up in the corners and that sort of thing. It seems to be fairly good down the sides here, but I'm not used to seeing silicone at all on the tanks that I use. Typically, the seams on the tanks that I have used in the past, you don't really see silicone on them. Let me give you an example right here on this particular tank. If you look down here, you don't see any kind of silicone whatsoever in this 120 gallon here. So there's quite a difference in the way the seams are made on these and how the silicone is put together on these. Now, I don't know if they use different kinds of silicone and that sort of thing, but the concern that I have is whether or not this particular tank, who many of you have asked me about, is actually going to hold up under a stress test. And the only way to stress test this is to fill it full of water and hardscape and to put it through what I would call normal use and see how it does. Now, if you go online, there's a lot of reviews on this that really enjoy it. There's some things about it that people don't like. For example, there's a top that comes with this. I don't have it out right now, but there's a top that comes with this. It's a little bit flimsy with the clips and the way it's held on there. People have told me that lifting the lid on it, sometimes the top drops through. And of course, if you have hardscape in here, it doesn't survive, it breaks. And that's not something that is a absolute no-go for me. I would suggest to you just replacing the top with something a little bit more quality. The tank itself, the glass is pretty thick on here. You've got about a ½ inch of glass all the way around here, which is pretty good for a 60-gallon tank. But again, the concern that I have is with the seams going all the way down. I don't see any bubbles. Those are the number one things that I look for. I don't see any bubbles in here, so that would concern me. I'm not seeing that on this, but I have seen reviews where people do report that they've seen some bubbles in their tank, and even though they have still held up over a year or two. This tank's been on the market for a while, so it's something that is not new and has been around for a while. So I don't think they'd keep selling these things if they were having a tremendous amount of problems with them. And also, when I spoke to some people at the Aqueon production site, basically they've told me that they've tried to improve the quality of the seams on these to give them more integrity. I'm going to provide you with a comprehensive and detailed test on this thing, and the only way to do that is, like I said, to detail, a water leak test and evaluate the tank's quality thoroughly. I've come across, like I said, mixed reviews, and I remain a little bit skeptical about its craftsmanship. I typically, like I said, invest in higher quality aquarium products from companies that I really trust, that have low iron glass, and those kinds of things. But that doesn't mean that this tank cannot perform for someone who doesn't want to spend that kind of money. One of the things that I would like to do is be sure to check out all of the seams on this thing as, maybe 60 days go by or something like that. Give this thing a chance to prove itself and give you the opportunity to make a decision on it that's informed and that kind of thing. Now, one of the things that I would tell you or anyone else that's buying a tank like this, or any tank actually, if you are doing a leak test on it, which you should always be doing a leak test, I would recommend doing it someplace where if you have a failure, you are not going to have a mess on your hands. Now, I have a heated garage area, which is perfect for doing something like this, and that's kind of what my intention is to place this in a garage, heated garage area where it's going to have a similar environment to where I'm going to keep it all the time, and see how this thing holds up with water in it, and give you guys an idea of how the integrity of this and structural soundness of this really is. Now, there's a few things on here that bother me that can be cleaned up. For example, on these corners, there's leftover silicone. You wouldn't see that on a higher quality tank. Same thing over here. There also seems to be a little bit of a hairline fracture on the top here, which I don't see that going anywhere. I don't see that being a problem long term for the structural soundness of this. But again, if you look at all the corners, they're a little bit sloppy with the silicone on there. That's something you can clean up with a razor blade, and again, that would really probably make this thing look a little bit nicer. Now, one of the things that I may end up doing if I find that this thing is not the quality that I like is I may strip down all of the silicone in here along the edges and then re-silicone it myself. Now, the quality of silicone, I'm sure that these guys are using the best silicone that they can. They're just a little bit sloppy with it. And again, I'm going to give this thing a rigorous test here. And like I said, within 60 days, I'm going to get back to you with a full review on this Aqueon 60-gallon cube. Now, one of the other things that I wanted to talk about is there is a stand that you can buy for these too. And man, I'll tell you, when I was looking at it, I don't know if I would place a 60-gallon cube, which is a lot of weight, and put it on that particular stand. Now, they sell it specifically for this tank, but whether or not you should put it on there, I don't know. You may want to either reinforce that stand, which would be something that I would be willing to do, which would mean putting 2x4s in the corners on the inside. I don't have the stand here, so I can't show you that, but I will show you and review that stand later on in another video. Well, thank you for joining me today. I just wanted to kind of give you an idea on whether or not for the price point on this, like I said, is about $379 retail price, but you can get these things if you're following Petco. They typically will have these things for 25% off or even 50% off, which gets you down just around $200 out the door with tax and everything. That's a pretty good steal if this thing holds up for a tank that is 60 gallons in a cube. So this tank would be perfect for something like angelfish or those kinds of things because it's 2 feet tall, which is perfect. You need some height with like Ultim Angels or something like that. And scaping this thing can absolutely make it beautiful. And as I said, you can clean this thing up and really give it a nice look if you want to spend the time on it. Again, I don't know how I will end up in the end with this. I may, like I said, take the silicone out of here and redo the silicone in the tank, or just test it the way it is, and if it holds up, use it for a tank just to see how it does over a long period of time. Thanks for joining me today. I appreciate it. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share, and I will see you on the next one. Until then, we're out of here.